My name is Inez. Good morning. I like to start all my presentations with professionally designed slides and soothing, neutral messages, unless it's early in the morning and I need to keep you all on your toes. I have about 21 years of experience in technology and digital. I've been in digital before it was called digital. I'm a bit of a nerd, okay? And I spend a lot of time talking to business leaders, helping them think about how digital will help drive growth in their business. And over the last few years, every other day, if not every day, a name comes up. This monster that apparently has been close to hitting our shores, Amazon. And people have very polarizing views of this subject. Some think it's going to be the apocalypse, the doom and gloom, we are all going to get into real trouble. Others say we are a very different market and we are going to be just fine. Which one is it? Well, the answer is somewhere in the middle. In the end of the day, courageous leaders with great strategies and a fabulous execution engine will be just fine. And today we're going to talk a little bit of what is the formula for success? How do we survive and thrive in the age of disruption? But before we go into solutions and ideas, we need to spend just enough time talking about what's happening in the world. So deep breath, we all know these things, and some of them are a little distressing. But as I talk, I leave you with this question. Who are your competitors, really? Are they the people in the room? Or others that play exactly in the same space? Or perhaps some of these new entrants, these giant tech companies? Let's explore. This is one of the most abused slides, used and abused in my industry. And yet it continues to be incredibly relevant. The lifespan of the biggest companies in the world continues to decrease year on year. And the gains are concentrated in a handful of players, all of them large technology companies. In this market, whether we think we're different or not, we have the advantage of being able to look at countries like the US and the UK to understand what some of these technology players are doing in those markets, because at some point in time, they will hit this market. And if we know what's coming, we can address it. We can respond to it, right? This is what disruption looks like in the US. Again, this is the brick and mortar retailer CAP versus Amazon. The difference, of course, is astonishing. And even the ones that are putting up a good fight, folks like Walmart, the difference is significant. And one thing that I want to remind everybody is that there is a cost to catch up. The cost of really looking at your operations and technology. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And of course, the number of store closings is increasing year on year. And the gap between closing and opening of stores is getting wider year on year. UK, similar. We have an estimated 50,000 surplus of stores in the UK right now. If we go to China, if there's a message that we can take when it comes to this biggest shopping day in the world, what just happened with Alibaba's Single Day, is that we no longer can separate commerce from e-commerce. We absolutely need to embrace an omni-channel retail strategy. I want to talk to you about discoverability. This is a topic that I think over the next few years is going to become more and more important. You see, I don't know if you know that in the US, when people search for a product online, many of them no longer go to Google. They go straight to Amazon. And, of course, Google is not happy. They love to own search, and actually, that's an important part. That's a very important part of their business. And so 2 years ago, they launched something called Google Express. It's called also the Anti-Amazon Alliance. Very, very, very interesting is that what they are attempting to do is shed a light to their retail partners, these brands, to ensure that, as they put it, that they are not just commodity provider of products. They continue to be brands in their own right. But Google is walking a very fine line. Why so? Because for Google Express to really compete with Amazon, they need to create their own brands, right? In the end of the day, at some point in time, that brand needs to become important. So whether it's Google Express or Amazon, or many of the marketplaces that we are seeing launching every day, because having a marketplace is a really good strategy. It creates network effects, right? But all of this, if you are a vertical retailer, your brand is starting to dilute, and so your margins. So yes, it's great to have these channels to go to market, but also how do we retain our discoverability? That becomes quite important. And then we have the progression of voice search. By 2020, 50% of all searches are going to be voice searches. Now, I hope neither my accent or my phone is going to let me down here. Hey Siri, I would like to buy some shoes.
One possibility I see is Mount Fords on Burke Street. Do you want that one?
Voice search is not only going to be important, but people are most likely to search via voice if they are driving or walking around. And so the search is local based. Are you right now starting to think about how to optimize for voice search, given the adoption that is happening? Because it's going to be incredibly important for your discoverability, particularly if you have a physical footprint, okay? So we talked a little bit about disruption and what's coming. Let's talk now about how do we survive and thrive? What are the stories and strategies from the front lines? What's working for businesses? Brian Solis has this amazing quote. He talks about digital Darwinism, the evolution of consumer behavior when society and technology evolve faster than the ability to exploit it. I want particularly to focus on that fast evolution of consumer behavior. How do we respond to this? One, we optimize for wisdom. We gather data and insights, customer data. We get to know our customers really well. Two, we optimize for agility. We continuously evolve our products, services, and experiences to respond to the wisdom and insights that we are getting. And we must do that fast and continuously on an ongoing basis. We are going to unpack this formula, these three steps: wisdom, experience, and agility. And what you can see there is that they are powered by tech and data. That's the fuel. But at the heart, at the core, we need to be customer-centered. And I know that in this room I have a number of business leaders that speak this language, understand the importance of this language. So I won't spend too much time on it, but sometimes one picture tells 1,000 words. And here's one. This is how customer satisfaction correlates with total return to shareholder value. And you can see what happens with the leaders of customer satisfaction versus the folks that are in the middle, your average SAP 500 company. It's really astonishing, isn't it? Now, let's start unpacking the different steps. Wisdom, knowing your customer, deriving actionable insights, and measuring what matters most. You have a clear advantage over any tech company that is coming our way. You understand your customers. You have data, you have insights, you have humans that deeply understand what your customers want. Let's ensure that we are really taking best advantage and knowledge of that asset. Now, before we go deeper into this, when we start talking about AI and data, we absolutely need to ensure that we are guided by great customer experience principles. Trust and transparency, empathy and respect, fairness and inclusivity. We need to be accountable for the data that we use. And most importantly, if we are capturing data, we better be adding value back to the customer based on that data, right? Clearly important, and they'll be very grateful because value will be added. Let's talk about some of the strategies for wisdom. Let's put the personal back into personalization. Let's move away from personas and segments and demographics. You probably understood by now that I'm a big geek. I'm a 43-year-old young woman that loves Marvel, and no demographic will, allow businesses to understand that about me. So let's really think about how can we use AI and data to really figure out who your customer is and what they like. We also need to understand why people buy, not just what people are buying. You see, in my shopping list, I bought some soup, I bought some chips, I bought some salad, and I bought a juice. And perhaps someone is going to attempt to sell me more soup or more juice. But those that are really trying to understand why I buy, they understand what is the insight here. And the insight here is that perhaps I'm mad about kale. Actually, I'm not, but it makes a great story. And a business that understands why I'm buying can make use of that information and derive some insights that they can action. For those that, I'm not sure if you can read it well, say, hey Google, pull up my shopping list. Google answers, sure. I've noticed that you like kale, is that right? I say yes. May I suggest you add another kale product? Perhaps I bought several pieces of clothing and they are all royal blue. Is there something that we can understand why I buy by looking at the product genomics, unpacking the product features? Then we need to measure what matters most. Here's why I love this particular item from Amazon. For Amazon to be successful, they could just be measuring most sold books. That's what hits their bottom line, how many books they are sold. But as someone that is a bit of a guerrilla marketeer, and I'm sure we have many in the room, we know that anyone that runs a really great campaign can suddenly become a best-selling author, right? Now, for readers, what readers care about are the books that are read, actually read, as fast as possible because they have interesting information. We care about the reviews. And Amazon is providing those two pieces of information, both most sold, but also most read. They care about customer satisfaction to ensure that they are returning time and time again. A little story, and I always like to bring stories from different sectors. There's no more emotional buy and high value buy than buying your home. Hemmet in Sweden wanted to gain wisdom about their customers. So they analyzed, I believe, 20 million clicks to their websites and over 80,000 products. That they found out what are the products that were most popular, and then they understood what are the features within those products that were common. Then they asked designers or architects to design homes that had those features, okay? It was a tremendously successful campaign. Without ever touching a brick, without ever having to produce the product, they managed to have 648 people sign up to buy and build that product. Plus, they had a campaign of 280 million people looking at this campaign. That's extraordinary. So let's have a look. Know your customer. And they were able to know customer really fast, right? If someone tells you that it takes 3 years to understand single customer view of the client, no, it doesn't. It takes weeks sometimes. 2, derive actionable insights. And then measure what matters. And what matters are our customers and buying those products, clicking to buy, okay? Experience. We, of course, know a lot about these places. Creating value-added, hyper-convenient experiences at every single touch point. Let's talk a little bit about strategies. Hyper-convenience. Getting in the same delivery a toothbrush and some high fashion shoes that you ordered together get delivered to your home, not just to your home in 2 hours, but inside your home. That's hyper convenience, isn't it? It's a try before you buy. It's the buy button on the Pinterest board that allows you to very quickly buy something that you like. Interactive, personalized, and relevant. It's nice to be able to select a number of products on your mobile device, and as you walk into the store, you have a magic mirror, and without having to change your clothes, perhaps you can try all of those products just by looking at a mirror that is feeding back personalized information. Perhaps you can print shoes that are just right for your feet, or you can try an engagement ring using a mobile app. Interactive, personalized, relevant. And when it comes to support and when it comes to service, today we expect value added at any channel, anytime and at speed. Whether it's Facebook or Twitter or one of these, we want to ensure that the response is there when we need it, and it's highly customized to that channel because each channel has a particular way to engage with. And when it comes to in-store, I'm a nerd, but in the end of the day, it's all about humans, isn't it? It's about the consultation and the community and the touch and feel. But having said that, how can data and insights and digital enable a better connection between humans and humans? How can we make it delightful? And we talk about bringing people into retail spaces and how difficult it is because it's so easy now to buy something at home. And in Disney, when you go to Disney, you sometimes have these big queues. And it's crowded, and it's cold, or it's hot, or there's kids screaming. But then there's one single moment that is special. One single moment that is surprising and delightful, that connects you with some humans, and you laughed. And that 2 seconds is what you remember when you get home. And that's what makes you come back. And of course, I'm giving you an example where the delightful moments are powered by digital, but of course they don't have to be. Not all moments need to be delightful, but there must be one or two that makes people want to come back. A little story in terms of how we can, through wisdom, create great experiences. West Helm partnered with an AI company that does image recognition. And what they do is they take a Pinterest board from a customer and through image recognition are able to recognize products from West Helm that relate to it. And then they provide those recommendations and very quickly people are able to buy them. It's a great example of wisdom creating great experiences. Last but not least, agility. I've been in agile and agility for about 15 years of my life. It's a topic that I'm very passionate about. I'm just going to scratch the surface. This is about, you can have great insights and you create a product, right? And it's a great product and it's generating revenues. The world continues to change around you, right? Your customers move on. Products become a commodity. So you really need to think about your entire business and how it's continuously able to evolve through wisdom, continuously relieves products, services, and experiences. That agility is business agility and operational agility. If you have strategy, a great strategy, and you do not execute it, it's a missed opportunity. If you don't have strategy at all, I would argue that you are probably running blind, right? So where we want to be at any point in time is having a strategy and testing it fast. Having a strategy, execute, learn, and evolve. It's all about insights. How many times I go to new business leaders to have a conversation and there's this deck, 300-page decks, costs a small mortgage. It's called a digital transformation strategy. It took 6 months to deliver, and no one touches it. And no one touches it because it's already out of date, and it's too complex and complicated, right? So what we really need to do is absolutely look at strategy and look at execution and make it as fast as possible. That's what I do with customers and with our partners. 2 to 6 weeks. Let's understand customer vision, where you want to get. Let's understand what you need to get there. But also, if it's taking more than 4 to 6 months to deliver something, hopefully even less, that adds value to your business that you can test, we're going to slowly, okay? Apocalypse, no. There's no apocalypse. Courageous leaders with great strategies and a great execution engine will always thrive and survive in any age of disruption. Thank you. Digital as an enabler.